What is up, guys? Today we're going to be reacting to the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones apparently lost 1,000 points today, this morning when it opened up, and all because of good old Trump and his tariffs that he has put against other countries and other companies that import stuff into our country. So it's definitely becoming a shit show, and honestly, who knows what's going to happen the next 2-3 months with his great master plan, because he knows everything about economics. So let's jump into the video.
And we do have breaking news. A look at the markets just minutes after the opening bell this morning as Wall Street reacts to President Trump's new tariffs. You can see the giant red arrow pointing down. Joining us now, NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans and NBC News senior business analyst and host, of course, of the 11th Hour, Stephanie Ruhle. Lauren Leader back with us as well. Steph, let's just get your blink reaction here to the markets. S&P 500 down 3%. My phone full of push alerts with dire news in terms of reactions to President Trump's new tariffs.
And I'll tell you, my phone in the last 24 hours, I've been speaking to former Trump administration officials from his first term, CEOs of consumer products companies, Wall Street investors, and economists. And people are sort of blown away on the negative, because what's really lost here, Jonathan, is trust. We have the biggest, strongest economy. Even the math that they're using and this idea that having a trade deficit means all these other countries are ripping us off, that's not the case. There have been some bad trade deals over the years, without a doubt. But us having a trade deficit with other countries, no, we're the biggest, best economy. We buy more stuff. But when I say a loss of trust, just think about this. When you talk about trading, these are long-term partnerships and investments. We told all these manufacturers for years, stop doing business in China. They're our adversary. Go to Vietnam. Now look what we're doing to Vietnam. In Trump's first administration, it was Trump and Jared Kushner that renegotiated NAFTA to create the USMCA, right? A better NAFTA. Now they're tearing it up. We're losing trust with our global partners, and that's a huge problem. And the last thing I would say is this argument that we keep hearing from the White House, short-term pain for long-term gain, and all these jobs that are going to be roaring back. Where? I have not seen one single CEO saying, I'm going to build a manufacturing plant here. Howard Lutnick has said the robots are going to start manufacturing the things. When and where? Because for a company to now say we're going to start manufacturing in the United States, it takes 3 to 5 years to build that plant. 3 to 5 years from now, Donald Trump is not going to be in office. Who knows if he'll retract on these tariffs? And in order for you to make any sort of investment, a long-term investment, you have to trust the information. You have to trust your counterparty. And my last point I would make is Donald Trump is not trusted in a business sense. And I take you back to his history. What is he great at? He's great at branding. He's great at marketing. He's a phenomenal politician. What he's not great at is business. As a business person, we all know this. He went bankrupt 6 times. The one business he tried to operate was a casino that he drove into the ground. And the reason he didn't do business with big U.S. banks is because they were unwilling to do business with him. I know this because I worked at Deutsche Bank, the bank that actually did do business with him. And what he's known for is not standing up to contracts, not standing up to deals.
And she's saying everything that's correct, honestly, in my opinion, because if you look at Trump, everything he touches dies. You know, what I say, he's Trumponomics. He thinks he knows how to run things, and he kills it. You know, you're looking at the stock market, it's plunging. Things are going to cost more. You know, cars, housing, groceries, you know, essentials. All because of his master plan on tariffing these countries, tariffing these companies. And it's like, is it going to make a difference? Honestly, it's going to make a negative difference. You know, and his master plan is to make things great again, and it's not going to work, you know. And you have to think about the aspect. Microsoft, you know, Apple, Nvidia. Are they going to manufacture stuff here in the United States? No, they're not, because it's going to cost too much. They can go do it over in India and in China, pay less for them to hire, you know, the company to hire people in China, and give them maybe, what, $8 to $9, maybe even less, to make, you know, graphics cards. Same with Microsoft, same with Apple, you know. I don't know. They're just not going to create companies to come here and manufacture shit, because the working people want to get paid. and they're not going to want to get paid, with the shit salary, and it's true. So we'll just have to wait and see, in the coming days on his master plan. Because as of right now, stock market is not going to be bouncing back anytime soon. It might go up in the green, but it's going to go back down, just like it has in the past couple of weeks. There's some gang, goes back down. It's like a yo-yo, and that's what he's doing. He's playing it like a yo-yo.
That he agrees to. And now he's doing that on American soil with American trading policies. And this could put our country in grave risk when it comes to being the superpower that we are. And if you don't believe me, listen to what Rand Paul has to say, right? An elected official who knows what this will do politically and economically. And it's hugely dangerous.
So, Christine, in Trump's first term, the stock market acted as something of a tripwire.
Yeah.
That when it would fall below a certain level, he'd kind of back off things, change his rhetoric, whatever it might be, because he puts so much emphasis, some would say too much emphasis, on how the stock market's doing to sort of gauge the health of the economy. But it does not seem to be the case this time around.
He used the stock market as his own personal poll or a letter grade in school, and he really wore it as a badge. Even yesterday at the Rose Garden, he was talking about how great the stock market was under his first administration. We call that a stock market put, a Trump put, that maybe if things, to use an option.
And it is a Trump put. And the reason why is because, hey, the stock market was doing good in my last presidency. Okay, well, it was doing okay. Pandemic came, it fucking tanked massively. It tanked. And what you did, you put $1 trillion in the fucking market. What do you expect that's going to do? Bring it all the way back up. And that's why companies went all green. They were making shit ton of money. And sooner or later, it was going to crash coming down. Now look at it's crashing down now. But he's still pointing the fingers at the last president. That was his fault. Last president, Sleepy Joe. It wasn't his fault. He had the stock market booming. It was doing good. Trump gets in there. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Fucked everything up. And it's the truth. It's just straight facts. He fucked it up. And now it's in the hole. And like I just said a couple minutes ago, could it go back up? Who the hell knows? Because right now it's in the red. And tomorrow it's going to be in the red too.
Options term that maybe if things go really sour, he would change his behavior this time. I don't think that's the case anymore. You've heard the White House officials talking about the 10-year note yield. That is the thing they're talking about. It's declining. That's lowering interest rates for consumers and businesses. That's a good thing. Well, it's declining because there's fear about his economic agenda and what it's going to do to the economy. So it's falling for a bad reason, not a good reason, but that's the number that they're starting to use now. So I don't think that they're looking at the stock market, at least so far, a 1,200 point, near the lows of the day, a 1,200 point decline, something that he would have said, if it were the Biden administration, he would have said this is impeachable, having a stock market fall like this. But they're not. This is not one of their metrics anymore.
And to the haphazard nature of these tariffs, some of these are on a number of countries that include several uninhabited islands. Okay. The Heard Island and the McDonald Islands, which are located in the sub-Antarctic Indian Ocean, made Trump's list. While teeming with seals, penguins, and other birds, these islands have no permanent human population. A White House official tells Axios that the islands were included because they are Australian territory. Located 2,000 miles from the Australian mainland, it takes 2 weeks to sail to the island. So, Lauren, no exception.
Jesus Christ, so it takes 2 weeks to sail to the island. And to him, he wants to do a tariff because it's 2,000 miles away from Australia. That's how dumb the administration is. They want to spend their time on tariffing no man's land. There's nobody on there except animals. Come on, man. That's some pity ass shit. Wasting your time on that. There's other stuff in the world that should be worked on except tariffing islands that have no humans on it. Oof.
At all, not even for penguins. We've really showed them. But this goes to, it's seemingly illustrative of, I was told up until yesterday morning, they were still negotiating and figuring out what kind of tariffs to place in what sort of country. The formula is all over the place. People have decoded how they've figured this out. But it is, one thing is clear, is that we're all, even the penguins, going to feel it.
By the way, Ian Bremmer with the tweet of the morning with a picture of a mass gathering of penguins and saying that it is 10% of the island protesting the Trump tariffs. I mean, it's funny and it's also incredibly not funny. And actually, Christine, it's hard to get a sense because we're talking about the markets and there are really ultimately very few Americans. You know, it's a small portion of Americans
It's
that
about
are
62% now.
It's 62% now because of 401ks.
Yep.
So it's a larger percentage. But what about prices? When do we think we're going to start actually? Because there's presumably a lag between when tariffs, if they do in fact take effect, and when it really hits people's pocketbooks and they start to see it at the checkout. How long do you think that's going to be?
A little more than half, 62% of Americans, if you believe that number, own stocks. Okay. Everybody has to buy stuff. Everybody has to buy stuff. People need to get a car to go to work. People need to buy groceries. I mean, it could be a matter of weeks. We've seen the auto sector starting to say you're going to see a little ticket, a sticker on the window of the car in the dealership that says there's that import tax right on there, so you can tell if you're buying a car that's got the extra tax. But when I look at the stocks today of Nike and Best Buy and all of these big companies that have very integrated global supply chains, they're down hard, and they're big employers, including Walmart and others. That means they're going to have to grapple with significant higher costs in their pipelines, and that's going to be something that some, if not all, but at least some of it will be passed on to consumers, and probably relatively quickly.
All right, NBC's Christine Romans, thank you so much. We know you have a busy day ahead.
Hey man, I'm loving the content what Trump's doing. You know, I don't like what he's doing, but I mean, the content's there. We're gonna continue to make, you know, videos on him because why not? So, you know, don't forget to sub, like, you know, follow the Twitch, follow the X, and I'll try their video out the next coming days, guys. And thanks for watching. You guys take care. Peace.